So Henry K on your left and Sam Rolph on your right. I believe those deck lists are the wrong way around though. Henry K definitely playing Mardu Nahiri today. Another impressive beard. another impressive beard on display here from Henry. That's very much a feature of Magic events nowadays. So.
Well, if you don't shave, you can have another 5 minutes in bed, which is, we all know that if you've slept well, you play better. So Henry K, those of you who know him will quite probably know him for playing Nick Fit in Legacy, a deck I absolutely adore.
Me too. But for explain the first kind of deck ever to use Veteran Explorer in Legacy to generate as much power as it has, and a very recent invention, despite the fact that the vast majority of the cards in there have been around for a very long time. Only the past few years have Nick Fit really taken a lot of...
I think it was reprinting the card in the Commander deck that did it, sort of reminded people that it existed.
Yeah, exactly. It was in the very first Commander decks, wasn't it? They're both players doing the dreaded pile shuffle. Now only allowed to do one per match, quite rightly so, because it is just counting your deck. But it looks like both players using the same colour sleeves as well, which could end up to some confusion. Right. Do we know who won the die roll?
Still waiting to find out who's on the play there.
Both players finishing their decks, and people are drawing their opening hands, ready for game one. So we have a Restoration Angel, and looks like a lot of lands there for Sam. Sam is
very
on the play.
Hand for Sam there.
Sam on the play here. Then we have a Lightning Helix and Lingering. Oh, both players have kept, and there's a Flight Strand on turn one, and then a second Lightning Helix off the top for Henry. There's a Grim Lava Mancer, there's some Lingering Souls, and a turn one tap Shambling Vent will pass the turn back, and Sam will fetch in Henry's end step, I'm assuming for Hallowed Fountain. We have a Bloodstained Mire. Is that a Phyrexian Arena in Henry's hand?
I think it might have been. That could be exactly what he needs to
it is a Phyrexian
claw back
Arena.
the card advantage against the control deck.
That seems like a very important card for Henry to resolve this matchup.
Henry has two Lightning Helix and... Oh, is that Lingering Souls rather than Path to Exile? Yeah, I thought that was a Path to Exile.
I think both very similar artworks.
Wall of Omens, one of my favourite Magic cards.
Hashtag value.
Draw a card.
That is a Path to Exile.
There's a Path to Exile.
Yeah, it's Lingering Souls, Path to Exile now in hand. And Phyrexian Arena, Bloodstained Mire, two Lightning Helix and a Sacred Foundry.
Henry's hand looks geared up to tackle creatures, which is a little bit unfortunate because Sam's plan doesn't really involve aggro.
I think Henry's main deck is very removal heavy, so it may be that post board Henry will have a lot more favourable matchup, but in this pre-board looks very favourable for Sam, especially with his kind of interaction in hand with interaction with not many creatures. Or is a Restoration Angel there, but with generating value, I don't think you mind.
It's also slightly awkward for Henry that the one threat that Sam does have has 4 toughness, while he sat there with 2 spells that deal 3 damage apiece in hand. So I think Henry probably tries to sneak out the...
Oh, there is a second noise, 2 Path to Exiles in hand.
Yeah. I thought that's what I'd seen. So 4 removal spells in hand, not really anything to point out. Henry passing the turn rather than running the enchantment into counter magic.
And then there's a Mystic Gate and a pass back. We have a Restoration Angel, Snapcaster Mage. I believe a Path to Exile of his own in Sam's hand there.
So Henry gets to cast an Inquisition here to have a peek at Sam's hand if he wants.
He's not got 3 black mana though, so he can't cast his Phyrexian Arena with Inquisition.
It's a bit of a shame because ideally what you want to clear the way for is the arena.
Yeah, it's his only real action card in hand at this point. And Henry's going to pay for it. It's not going to pay me life.
We're having that land tapped.
Although we're saying about the 4 toughness on Wall of Omens here, what Henry can do is chump check with Grim Lava Mancer, and should Sam block, can then fire off Lightning
Finish
Helix.
it off with the Helix, yeah.
Yep.
Although that would very likely backfire for Henry though, because Sam can probably throw out the Angel.
Yeah.
So that's draw, land, go, 2 turns apiece for the... Oh no. There's
a
a
kitchen
kitchen
fix. So a main deck kitchen, yeah, casting off the double white on Mystic Gate there, making use of his basics and his filter lands to be as mana efficient as possible. I believe this will probably get met with a Path to Exile in Henry's turn. There is the third black source, so it looks like we're going to be resolving a Phyrexian Arena here, which is very important, as I believe there is no main deck enchantment removal in Sam's deck.
Yeah, the extra card a turn will really make a difference for Henry, because the control deck from Sam's plan really is to outgrind him on card advantage.
It's very reminiscent of Underworld Connections in Theros Ravnica Standard, where the Sphinx's Revelation decks, even with the large amount of card advantage, could not outdraw the Underworld Connections. And it's a very kind of standard style matchup here. Just two fair decks, some counter spells and removal on one side, and like sticky threats and efficient cards on the other side.
So Sam's hand is 3 removal spells, a Snapcaster and an Angel.
So Blessed Alliance is the other one
Yeah.
there.
So that's Snapcaster taken with the Inquisition.
That's an interesting choice. With removal in hand, he's gone to take in the creature. Bases want to make people make the value. Here is the very, very powerful Phyrexian. We'll probably see a Path to Exile on upkeep then on the Kitchen Finks. No, probably wait to the end step then. I believe there's another land off the top there for Sam.
The difficulty here is trying to get the Path to Exile to resolve when there's an Angel in hand to flicker the target.
Yeah, that's true.
In Henry's position, I may well have just cast it in my own main phase last turn, while Sam was down on 2 mana and wouldn't have been able to cast the Angel in response.
I believe that's the Snow Plains there for Sam. Foil Snow Plains. Some value
Blink the
generated
Kitchen
there for
Finks
Sam.
to take the token away again.
And gain 2 more life, forever relevant in these mid-ranging matchups.
So a really interesting element of the arena being played very early in this game is, if the game goes long enough, it could well be the one a turn from the enchantment that ends up being how Sam wins.
Yeah, these lightning helixes can kind of being very relevant. As the game goes long enough, it essentially means 3 extra cards for Henry. Bitter Blossom off the top there,
So
very, very powerful magic
A
card.
poor man's Ancestral Recall.
Very, very, very powerful enchantment there off the top for Henry. We did say that the Nick Hall 1/1 black flary tokens would be in use today, and I do hope they're in the feature match.
Those are absolutely
excellent,
fantastic.
Excellent Northern League tokens of a good friend of mine.
Those of you who know him, it's an excellent likeness.
It's very. I don't know who drew it, but credit to the artist for the 1/1 black fairy rogue tokens. I want all the players here for Henry.
So Henry's remaining 4 cards are all removal, which is...
I mean, Sam's played a lot of his very few main deck creatures here, and there's also a Colonnade as well. Cryptic Command, the draw. That is a very good draw for Sam. It's a potential answer to Phyrexian Arena to be able to bounce it and then counter it on the way back down. Is he animating Colonnade? This is an aggressive line from Sam. I mean, I guess he feels like he has to put the game away, considering that there's a Phyrexian Arena and a Bitter Blossom on the other side of the table. Which would probably mean...
So we're bringing the team...
Probably just double path here, right?
Absolutely. Especially while Sam's tapped low, it's the perfect opportunity to actually cast these cards.
Give me a Path to Exile in response on the Grim Lavamancer, which I'm assuming will mean we'll get a Path on the Restoration Angel, or Helix and Restoration, and then shooting with the Grim
We're
Lavamancer.
going to use the Lavamancer to finish the Angel up.
Yeah.
I think that's a good line there, because the Lightning Helixes have a relatively limited application, so taking the opportunity to use one when you can is...
I very much agree. Yeah, they're very much on diminishing returns as the game goes on.
So Henry gains 3 and then takes 3.
So no
Life
change
total
there.
stays
He
static.
will be losing 2 a turn, which is...
Quite significant, although those 1/1s could rapidly take over the game.
Bitter Blossom is a card that was banned for a very long time in Modern. Was one of the ones initially?
It was on the original banned list.
Yeah.
So apparently, a big part of the philosophy that informed the original banned list was they wanted Modern not to resemble Extended too closely.
Yeah, all the old formats. Yeah.
One of the very popular and strong decks in Extended that had also dominated Standard for a long time was the fairy deck, where turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Bitter Blossom was probably what
So
you
there was a
wanted to
law
do.
in Block Pro Tour, it just ran the tables, right?
Yeah. It eventually came off the banned list when it was concluded that it simply wasn't powerful enough to warrant being on there.
And then never saw much play?
Not
Saw
really,
some playing
no.
Fairy, some playing Black-White tokens, that was basically it.
Caused a short-term price spike, and then nobody played it.
People who'd been holding on to Mistbind clicks for long amounts of time suddenly all managed to offload them to traders. But there we go, see Black Blossom on the screen there. 2 mana enchantment, at the beginning of your upkeep, make a 1/1 black Fairy Rogue creature token with flying and lose 1 life. Tribal Enchantment Fairy, which had the interaction with Scion of Una, where you would get to give your Bitter Blossom Shroud in response to people's removal spells. But here it's just a value engine, there's no tribal synergies going on here.
I think we have a judge call at the table there. It's possible that when there was a flurry of spells and actions being performed all at once, one of the Path to Exiles simply never resolved. So I'm not sure what we're going to do about that.
I think it's the timing of a Path to Exile on upkeep here.
Try and get clarification about exactly what's going on there.
Okay, we don't know whether Henry drew for turn or not, and that's what the contention is here. So just clearing up a judge call here. I think that's been resolved, and there's going to be a Path to Exile resolving now. So Sam will search your basic land out of his deck, presumably an island. These decks usually taxing more on blue than white mana.
Triple blue for Cryptic.
Will be,
Oh no,
it'll be
another
a
plains.
snow-covered plains, and then I will believe was this in Henry's main phase.
I think part of the confusion was over the fact that it's strictly speaking still his upkeep.
Okay.
So we're going to get the fairy token and then go to the draw step.
So we've not got any Nick Hall tokens. We do have pieces of paper.
Yet another player who hasn't brought their tokens today. We're going to try and find a proper one for us to use.
So moving on to Henry's turn here. So we have an upkeep. So we have the Bitter Blossom there making the 1/1 black flying Fairy Rogue token. So we have an upside down Eternal Master token there.
Slightly better, it's a card shape.
Henry draws for turn in. It is a copy of Lightning Bolt, the premier removal spell of the format. Still just chock full of a lot of removal spells drawn for Henry. What do you think that means for the way this game's shaping out?
Well, again, Sam's deck is relatively light on creatures and threats, but what's going to matter quite a lot, given that Henry has not one but 2 enchantments that are costing him life every turn, is being able to change the clock in some way. So the effectively 6-point swing on Lightning Helix is really going to matter. Just there we saw Henry manage to use the line that you discussed a couple of turns ago, attack after the wall blocks, finish it off with damage from a burn spell, managing to leverage Lightning Bolt for as much as it's worth.
Especially now Restoration Angel goes out of Sam's hand, you can safely make that play. So Sam's draw for the turn was another Wall of Omens, which has drawn him another card off the top. I'll just get confirmation of that in a minute. Rest of his hand being Path to Exile Cryptic Command.
The card that came off the wall was a Spell Snare.
And so Sam is Cryptic, Spell Snare, Blessed Alliance, and Path to Exile.
So Sam running out of gas here. What he could really do is hitting one of his Sphinx's Revelations to restock and find something a bit more aggressive.
I think that's probably a very good shout. So Lingering Soul's being cast over Henry, the Dark Ascension uncommon. Very powerful magic card, seen lots of play, was banned in the Innistrad block format. We have some real spirit tokens as well, excellent. Played and flashback. And Sam Rolph take a draw for turn.
So Henry has another Bitter Blossom in hand that he's chosen not to play.
I think he's read that Sam probably is in some kind of place where spell snares are in use. Just not wants to play into it. Probably looking after his own life total somewhat.
Yeah, I think putting yourself in 3 damage a turn is perhaps not where you want to be when Sam's life total is still quite high. So there's a Nahiri.
Marquee card of Henry's deck, running off the top of the deck. Swing in for 6 from Henry, drops Sam from 24 down to 18. He's going to try and land on Nahiri.
Cryptic in Sam's hand. I think Nahiri probably doesn't resolve here. Oh, yeah. He's let it through.
That is interesting. I don't think I agree with that play, but we shall see. There is a ticking up of the Nahiri. Goes discards the Bitter Blossom.
Oh, he's drawn another Nahiri.
As we said, probably in regards to life total considerations here. And then a shipping of the turn back to Sam, who will draw a card. And it is another copy of Spell Snare. Wow.
Not going well for Sam.
There are 3 Spell Snares in Sam's main deck, and he has drawn all of them, and he has had no targets for any of them after Bitter Blossom, which is feeling pretty kind of stagnant here. Lots of 1/1 flyers on Henry's side of the board. He's drawn a Swamp for the turn off the Phyrexian Arena, and then a Colligan's Command, also run off the top of the deck. Very powerful card there from Dragons of Tarkir.
So the spells in Henry's hand represent another 5 points of damage. Sorry.
So it's a 1-turn flop.
Which means that this is lethal on the board now. There's the Emrakul.
Always draw the Emrakul off the Nahiri activation. Henry deliberating here about what his line of play should be, and it just ships the turn. Sam draws a Path to Exile for the turn, and ships the turn straight back. Let's have an instep action here from Henry.
I think Henry wants to try and get a few points in with his burn spells in the hopes of
firing off a lightning hits the dome. Finally Sam gets a target for his spell snares.
Slammed on the table quite excitedly.
Here's a Colligan's Command, I think, as well.
Henry's using Colligan's Command to discard his own Emrakul so that he can -8 Nahiri and fetch it. Excellent.
This is, of course, he doesn't draw Emrakul off his draw step for the turn or Phyrexian Arena, which would... Yep. So Colligan's Command gets shuffled back in. We are waiting here to see the inevitable Emrakul off the top. Although I don't think it should matter, as there is a lot of power in play for Henry there. Creates another Bitter Blossom token in the upkeep, goes down to 9 off of Phyrexian Arena. There's another Colligan's Command, I believe. And that is not an Emrakul, so it looks like we're going to see a -8 on Nahiri, and Sam is probably going to pick up his cards. Here we go. The powerful 15 mana mythic rare from Rise of the Eldrazi. This is the promo version. A 15/15 Annihilator 6 with. It's an excellent play here from Sam. Is going to tap the Emrakul before it goes back to Henry's hand and then draw a card. Essentially a fog effect from turn, but it stops Emrakul's Annihilator trigger, which is very smart play. Didn't see that line.
Yeah, he's protected himself from the Annihilate 6 effect, allows himself to get another draw step. So what are we potentially drawing to here? Maybe one of the Wrath effects? A Supreme Verdict might buy him the time that he needs.
Yeah. 3 Supreme Verdicts in his list.
That's another Cryptic Command, so we're going to get another draw step if he can tap the team again.
I mean, it's not entirely beyond the realm of possibility that Henry dies to his
own enchantments.
His own enchantments, whilst Sam uses Cryptic Commands as fogs. Although the interesting interaction is that if you go for the Cryptic Command tap effect before combat, Henry can then activate. Has the window a priority to activate his own Shambling Venom, which I think he might do. Still a 1-turn, and that's now because of Bitter Blossom has
Does
now
Sam
got a
still
1-turn
have removal in hand to take down the Shambling Vent if Henry attacks with it?
I believe so. He does have a. The main deck Rune Halo is in hand. There's a Path to Exile and a Blessed Alliance. Although Henry has a Blessed Alliance of his own, which essentially means 2 more turns of those enchantments. If you've just tuned in, this is the Northern League Invitational. It's happening at IQ Games in Huddersfield. I'm Stuart Jackson with Alex Roebuck. And this is the latter modern portion of the round. We have had four rounds of Legacy, and this is the very first round of Modern. You're seeing blue-white control here against Mardu Nahiri. There's a Rune Taylor named Bolt for Sam Rolph, and a passing of the turn. Henry will untap, and then trigger with his enchantments. Goes down to 7. Makes a 1/1 black flying fairy rogue creature token, and we'll draw a card, which is a shambling vent. And then we'll draw a card for the turn.
So Sam's going to use Cryptic to buy himself another turn. Oh no, we've got Blessed Alliance.
Which is the Celestial Flare plus gain 4 life mode of target sacrificing an attacking creature. So 4 damage coming through.
Go back down to 5.
So essentially blanks the attack.
Not quite. We have 4 fairies and 4 spirits.
Oh my bad. Yes, my bad. You are correct. Another Colligan's Command in hand for Henry. Jeez. The grindy plan of this Mardu deck seems very well matched up against the control decks. Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. Those enchantments are doing an awful lot of work for Henry. Although, of course, we still do have the danger of them killing him. There's Shambling Vents and a Blessed Alliance in hand that can gain him some life back. I think he's going to have to use those.
Small Lightning Helices in the deck to come as well.
Well, he did shuffle his graveyard back in, so there's all those cards to redraw.
2 lands rolling off the top again for Henry. Attack spin declared, and I believe there'll be another Cryptic Command here from Sam. And there is. I'm assuming tap your team, draw a card. The draw off the Cryptic Command is Gideon. There's a
Path to Exile.
Another Path to Exile. All 4 paths been seen this game by Sam. The FNM promo Path to Exile. Not my favourite artwork, but certainly the most readily available. There's a Spell Snare for the Blessed Alliance to gain 4. Oh dear,
that
dear,
could
Henry.
really matter. Sam effectively turning his Spell Snare into a 4 damage to your face effect. And there's another removal spell. So Sam's plan at this point seems to be leaning on stopping Henry from gaining life, as well as preventing his own life total being hit down.
That does seem to be like the case for Sam, who has not found any threats to speak of, and is just on the survival plan. We'll untap for turn and draw a card. The draw is, I believe that's another land. There's a Flooded Strand off the top there for Sam. And we'll pass back the turn. Henry will untap. Trigger both of his enchantments, so we'll lose 2 life, make a fairy, and draw a card. And draw for the card is an Imposition off the Effect Arena and a Path to Exile for turn, which amounts to a potential creature, but there is an Imposition of Kozilek coming straight up, and Sam will pick up his cards, and that is game 1 to Mardu Nahiri, which is, considering how many removal spells Henry A has in his deck and B drew in that game, I think is a very useful card. Henry quite rightly noting that Phyrexian Arena is an absolute beating in this matchup. So we have sideboards for these decks. Quite a lean sideboard there for Henry. What's going on there?
So we've got Fulminator Mage, which could come in. It's going to take out the Colonnades if that's what he wants to do with it. I would imagine that's mainly there for decks like Tron, though. There's 4 copies of Surgical, which I think is influenced by Dredge's recent prevalence. There's an angle, I suppose, against Snapcaster Mage, but I don't think it's worth including. Kitchen Finks and Tide Hollow Sculler, I could consider bringing those in just to have extra bodies, extra things that can attack, especially because Henry will almost certainly want to cut some of his removal.
Yes,
so there's some space there. And Colligan's Command just as a little bit of extra card advantage, some direct damage if you can't keep a creature on the table. The discard is relevant in this match. It seems to be all about who's got the most cards left.
Kitchen Finks is a very sticky threat, so I think Kitchen probably will come in. It's not great against Path to Exile, but there's only so many paths that Sam can be able to cast, and there are 3 Wrath effects in his main decks.
3 power is very relevant as well. I think I would bring those in.
And the life gain with your enchantments.
So what about Sam? What do we think Sam might do?
What's Sam's got? So I think there's a kind of a transformational sideboard plan here with Geist of Sintraft. So your opponent boards out their removal effects.
And you can bring in the Geist that most
removal spells are bad against Geist anyway, but if your opponent's becoming kind of less answer based. You can just tempo your opponent out of the game if they're not completely prepared for it. Best Alliance probably coming out for Henry, which is the ban card by Geist of Central in this matchup. And Henry has revealed it to Sam, so it's possible that Sam won't board it in just because he's seen the Blessed Alliance, but I do think it should come in. Elspeth Sun's champion will at least be able to card in Magic, I think definitely coming in this grindy matchup. Time reinforcements, not great because you don't gain the life that often against the self-pain enchantment effects. Rest in Peace only really hits Colligan's Command and Lingering Souls, probably not fantastic. Engineer Explosive looks excellent, very, very good. Excellent
for 0, yeah.
0 against the tokens, or for 2 against Letter Blossom and 3 against Frick. I can't really class for 3 against
I think the negate probably comes in, as we saw in game 1.
Excellent
Henry
answer to Nahiri, yeah.
rode the spells.
Yep.
You know, we had Bitter Blossom, Friction Arena, and Nahiri were the 3 cards that really won the game for Henry there, and those are all negatable.
I think this matchup's looking very favourable for Henry post-board as well. I mean, obviously, a resolved Elspeth Sun's champion is probably going to be very difficult for Henry to beat, but there are a lot of flyers on Henry's side of the world, so it's possible Sam won't go for the Elspeth plan. There are no copies of Jace Architect of Thought either, which would be excellent in this matchup in Sam 75, which I've seen when I was playing this blue-eyed deck. I was playing copies of Jace Architect of Thought specifically for that reason. Very little counter magic seen by Sam in the game 1, which probably led to his downfall somewhat, because Henry managed to resolve a lot of sticky threats, which would have been very cleanly answered by counter spells, but weren't particularly well answered by removal.
I think the Phyrexian Arena was really the card that won Henry that game.
You're most likely correct there. Okay, we have 7 cards here being kept for Henry, and Sam is going down to 6. Henry's hand including a... Oh no, Henry is also going to mulligan. Neither player like that hand there, both players going down to 6, which I think favours the Mardu deck.
Certainly, especially if the 6 that he keeps includes an Inquisition. Being able to deprive Sam of one of his useful pieces.
Yeah, the threat density, the non-land density of Sam's deck is a lot lower than Henry's.
Yeah.
So when you do mulligan and you have a Thoughtseize effect, your percentage of your non-land cards to lands in your hand suddenly dramatically drops.
I think Sam has a lot less redundancy than Henry as well. You know,
That's very true, yeah.
A lot of Henry's cards do similar jobs to each other, whereas in any given opening hand for Sam, there's probably one card that stands out as important.
Both players scrying to the bottom, and we have a game. We have a game ready to go. The turn one play is a Celestial Colonnade from Sam Rolph, and a pass back, and the draw is a Collective Brutality. Shambling Vent tapped, pass back. Draw is a Path to Exile. Excellent draw. Is that a Flooded Strand there from Sam? Probably must be played this turn.
Yes.
And I think there's a Deprive to follow it up too. So it looks like we can have a more kind of normalised control game here from Sam. Still debating on his land drop, and it will be the Flood Strand, and a pass straight back. Untap and draw with Blackleaf Cliffs. So we have a Fatal Push in hand for Henry. Interesting to see that card in the deck. A Lingering Souls, the ever important Phyrexian Arena. Just a Shambling Vent. Simple stuff here. Cracking of the fetch land and then set for Sam.
The Fatal Push kills Wall of Omens, Snapcaster, and perhaps importantly, Celestial Colonnade.
The interaction between Fatal Push and creature lands has become very apparent in the standard format. So it's very interesting to see that effect. I mean, it's a very big mana swing if your opponent taps 5 lands and has to use their 6th land to attack with their Colonnade, and you use 1 mana to answer it. It's very, very efficient on your side of the board.
I wonder if not having to give the opponent a land, as you do with Path to Exile, is worth no longer being able to deal with Kitchen Finks as effectively, and Restoration Angel as well. Kitchen Finks is a fairly big one when you're trading off Exile against Destroy. Persist starts to look a lot more relevant.
That's a very good point. So a Resolve Lingering Souls here, a Ghost Quarter and a passing of the turn here from Sam. Henry will take a draw and is a second copy of Fatal Push. Planes for the turn and a swing in for 2. All brings in Sam down to 17, so that fetch land for... No, Pushing down to 10. Yeah, that's 17 because the fetch land. It was a tap Power Hunt in the previous turn.
So Henry has both of his copies of Fatal Push in hand now.
Kalitas is the play from Henry. Interesting card. In fact, probably another threat that I just feel like he can take out in this matchup, but which will meet with the ever-present Path to Exile. Henry will be able to take out a basic land from his deck and put it into play tapped.
kitchen finks for Sam.
So Henry will untap for turn and will draw. Card draw turn is a lightning bolts. Good card in this matchup. Not particularly fantastic, but not bad. Not a bad card ever to see. This is going to be collective brutality, I believe. So the ever.
Would you escalate here? Yeah, there we go. We're getting rid of one of the fatal pushes that doesn't really have a useful target.
So you're leaving mana open for mana leak. So there'll be a spell snare on the brutality though, which
Very
means
nice.
Henry is. Sam does get the 2 for 1, but Henry gets to resolve the ever important Phyrexian Arena, the marquee card from game 1 that we saw take down Sam. Sam's managed to grind out Sam with card advantage alone.
Can we
Sam.
race the tokens? Sam effectively doing 4 damage a turn as long as his creature's not being blocked.
So here,
Very aggressive line from Sam there.
So here we have on Phyrexian Arena on the screen. This one from Conspiracy, take the crown. Your upkeep, you draw a card and lose a life for 3 mana enchantment, black and 1. Very powerful card. Been around ever since.
Apocalypse?
Yes, Apocalypse, I believe, was the first printing of that card. Another hand destructor spell off the top here for Henry.
So Sam was able to get in for an attack with a colonnade while Henry was tapped down. Perhaps something he wouldn't risk if Henry had any mana available, given that Henry's just shown him a fatal push.
You can't imagine that there are too many fatal pushes left in the deck, though. So the second fatal push here probably very important for Henry, insofar as discarding the first one might make Sam think his attack is okay. I'm not sure. Either way, Henry is going to attempt to resolve another Lingering Souls, and we'll pass the turn back to Sam. Sam will untap. Draw for the turn is an upside down card. I believe that's a Cryptic Command. Sam will come in for 3.
So although Henry does appear to be in the driving seat at the moment, he is tapping out quite frequently, which gives Sam a lot more wiggle room. There we go. That's Kitchen Finks is traded with his Spirit Token in combat, which nets Sam some more life.
Henry very rightly looking to protect his life total here.
I think Henry's missed his Phyrexian Arena trigger. Yeah, we're going to have the judge called over.
Pretty certain the rules on this have not changed.
So, what's interesting about this is part of the fix for a missed trigger will give Sam a decision whether or not to have the trigger placed on the sack, and Sam has a real decision to make there. You know, 9 times out of 10, if your opponent misses a trigger, you just don't let them have it. But the 1 point of life really could make the difference between winning and losing for Sam. Whereas so could the card.
Seems like with Dark Confident as well.
Yeah, Dark Confidence is a fantastic example of the kind of trigger where the opponent actually has to think rather than just tell you that you've missed your trigger.
That has been resolved, it looks like, and we'll continue with Henry's turn.
So Sam choosing not to have Henry draw his extra card.
Inquisition of Kozilek is the play for Henry. I wonder if Sam will Cryptic this.
Yeah, I think Cryptic and either draw or possibly even tap the team.
Well, I think maybe bounce the Phyrexian Arena. No, it is draw card. There'll be a land off the top there, Flow the Strand.
Bouncing the Arena could have been a very interesting choice there because, of course, if Henry attempts to recast it, it's going to run into the last card in Sam's hand, which is a mana leak.
Yeah.
I think Sam is possibly considering that the Life Frost from Phyrexian Arena is one of his better lines to winning the game now.
If he draws a Revelation here, suddenly the game gets bust wide open. We've not seen him resolve Revelation or game here. I mean, Henry taking advantage of the fact that there is no Restoration Angel mana open to bolt the rest of that Kitchen Finks. And so it looks like the life loss plan on Sam's, Phyrexian life loss plan on Sam's side looking a little less good without the threat in play. And there'll be a flashback of Lingering Souls which will run into the said mana link that we talked about earlier, and Sam will take his turn, untap and draw an Elspeth Sun's Champion, least beatable card in Magic, rolls off the top of the deck. Only 4 Spirit Creature tokens in play for Henry, so not particularly.
It's an excellent draw for Sam. Henry can beat it down, but every time he does that, he's not attacking Sam's life total.
So yeah, the marquee card of Theros block comes rolling off the top of the deck and will resolve and make 3 soldier tokens. Sam, the one player we've had in the feature match, the single player who've had in the feature match area today who has remembered their own tokens.
I imagine Henry's wishing he saved that lightning bolt now.
I'm just wondering if we can get the large dice to represent the spirits and the Elspeth Sun's champion, if that's okay. There we go, make that a lot more clear for the people at home. Thank you very much. So,
Henry remembering his trigger this turn. I'm a big fan of putting a dice on top of the deck so that I can't forget.
that's a very fair thing for you to do as well. I know many people have missed Slaughter Pact triggers. I remember a certain judge call involving you, where someone just called you and said, have the rules on pacts changed since I last checked?
Nope.
No, they've not. So
I'll pick my cards up then.
Pick my cards up.
It's a really awkward one because it's such an awful way for somebody to have to lose the game, but
it is, yes.
there's not really a fairer solution. Once you've drawn your card and seen what that card is, you have extra information to decide how to pay for your pack trigger, so it's not really fair to let people pay for it at that point.
Exactly. If there was the only fix they could theoretically was be to rewind, but that involves the drawing extra cards penalty, the era that we have now where you thought sees your opponent, and that's not a very elegant fix, and pacts do say you lose the game, so unfortunately you lose the game.
To use an extreme example, let's say for argument's sake that paying for my pact will leave me with exactly 1 mana left. And the only way I can win the game is to draw removal and cast it. And then my deck contains both Path to Exile and Lightning Bolt. Do I leave red up or do I leave white up? And once I've drawn my pact, once I've drawn my card and seen that it is the bolt rather than the path, I can pay for my pact accordingly, and that's just completely unfair. So that's why the rules are fairly harsh on that one.
So Henry has attacked the Elspeth down to 1.
Not being able to finish it off is a big deal because it means Sam's going to get another activation out of it.
Yeah, that is very key. And there's a colonnade on the other side of the board as well. I think I'm probably will get answered by Fatal Push, but the clock is certainly swinging in Sam's favour here. Even if it's Elspeth has just been 6 mana, make 6/1/1s. Like in a removal kind of orientated matchup like this, making 6 threats is huge.
So
as we've seen from Henry's
colonnade
side.
that may run into the Fatal Push.
And I believe that will be...
Yeah, the Ghost Quarter's coming in handy there with...
So, Henry has activated the Shambling Vent to block a token. It has met a path to exile, but will responded by a Fatal Push to destroy the colonnades. Henry will be searching for basic land.
So one of the things that potentially keeps Henry in the game is the lifelink on the Shambling Vents. Of course, Sam has drawn 2 of his Wasteland effects, which is going to make that job a lot harder for Henry.
And it's a loss of tempo as well. As soon as you activate it, you've sunk 3 mana into what is essentially the loss of 1 mana on your opponent's side. So here come 3 soldiers as from the tick up on Elspeth Sun's champion. He will pass the turn back to Henry, who will trigger his Rex Arena and draw for turn.
Another thing that we really shouldn't underestimate when we're talking about Planeswalkers is when you attack a plane, the opponent is effectively gaining life because you're not hitting their life total. So Sam, effectively gained 4 life last turn and is about to gain yet more life because Henry presumably has to kill Elspeth. So Sam here is still on 12, whereas if Henry had been able to attack his life total rather than Elspeth, Sam would be down on 6.
And suddenly the clock could be much more heavily in Henry's favour, yeah.
So there's a Lingering Souls with flashback.
That has nicely put the clock back in Henry's favour here, especially with the colonnade gone as well. And there is just lands in hand for Sam.
Sam attacks with everything. We can trade 6 for 6.
So that is essentially a 2-for-1 on Elspeth there, gaining him 5 life and trading with 2 Lingering Souls. Pretty good. So
Sam really wants to find a Sphinx's Revelation here.
That would be the best draw in his deck by a long margin.
Henry's hand lacking action as well. Henry's only real line is to animate Shambling Vent and attack, but of course Sam does have the Ghost Quarter to stop it.
There are 2 Shadow events on Henry's side though, so
He doesn't have the mana to attack with both.
no, he needs
I
8
think
mana.
he probably plays the Inquisition just to find out what Sam has.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go. Sam absolutely has to kill the Shadow event here, I think. Henry being down at 6 life. Yeah, there we go. Letting him climb back up to 8 would just be a mistake.
The 2 Spirits is a 6-turn clock, but so is the Phyrexian Arena on the other side.
Yeah. Sam
Desperately
needing to find something relevant.
So Sam will untap the turn and take a draw. The draw for turn is... I did not get a good look at that.
I think it might have been a Mystic Gate, I'm not sure. No, I can't quite see.
And he pays another point of life. Those precious life points.
Down to 5 now.
Might have been a Path to Exile, I think, of Sam. It's not for Sam there.
Ideally, it wants to be something that's going to answer the Shambling Vent, because now Henry's going up 1 point a turn instead of down 1 point a turn.
Yeah, the Phyrexian Arena essentially is Sam's clock right now. The draw for turn. Draw for Phyrexian Arena is Nahiri, and the draw for turn is Lightning Bolt. That is some very good big draws there. Lightning Bolt taking a whole 2 turns off the clock here.
I think that's a Nahiri in Henry's hand as well, which really changes things, because Henry currently has quite a few dead cards in hand.
Yeah. So swing here from the Spirit and a Shambling Vent.
So I didn't see what Sam had in hand, but it's obviously not an answer to the vent.
Might just be a land then. Inquisition.
It was the Mystic
Yeah.
Gate. There we go.
Sees nothing. Sees Mystic Gate. On the card off the top here for Sam. Is it the revelation that he so desperately needs? He's reaching for mana, so it's definitely a card. Looks like a Kinship Vinx probably. No, it's a Detention Sphere on the Spirits.
So we're going to take all of the Spirits away. Henry can Lightning Bolt the one that's been targeted in response, which will save the other one. But that's arguably not worth it.
The Bolt probably better to the face, I think.
Well, Sam's down at 8. I mean, he's going to get
Draw for Phyrexian Arena is a
Bitter Blossom.
and then a Goblin Dark Dwellers. Draw for the turn. Excellent card. Shadow Event getting in. Life totals become 6 plays 7, and then Nahiri will hit the field for Henry. Discard a Bitter Blossom that he cannot afford to cast. And Sam gets yet another draw step, looking for Supreme Verdict is the draw, which is not good enough, not by a long shot. Things slipping away for Sam here. Nahiri looking to go ultimate next turn as well. Nahiri the Harbinger there up on your screen, the powerful mythic planeswalker from Shadows of Innistrad. Very versatile in answers and as an answer and as a threat and as card filtering, all the things you're looking for in such a variant format as Mardu. Colleague's Command will discard Sam's Supreme Verdict and just deal 2 to the face. So we're looking to win the game next turn.
So I think we make Dark Dwellers here. And a ball. Yeah.
There we go, and that will be the game. Sam extends the hand. Mardu Nahiri taking down Blue Eye Control 2 games to 0. No chances really there for the Blue Eye Control deck. Henry now moving on to 4-1. Sam going to 3-2. Henry looking probably to win the next 2 rounds. Can probably ID into top 8 from there. Top 8 from there. Although the ID is not particularly great this time around because we are implementing the new top 8 system that we saw in Pro Tour Kaladesh and Pro Tour Ethan Revolt, which is that there will be 4 rounds of top 8 based on your positions in the Swiss, which is a much fairer stopping build from intentionally drawing in the later rounds.
Depending on your position in the Swiss standings, you may have to play as many as 4 or as few as 2 matches to take down the top 8.
We saw Lucas Esperberto at the last Pro Tour Ethan Revolt. Only had to play 2 matches in the top 8, won both, and won $40,000.
I think it's a really elegant solution to the so-called ID problem. A lot of people view IDs in quite a negative way.
Wizards especially.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, the reason that IDs are allowed is because actually banning them is simply too impractical. You'll have players sort of deliberately stalling their way into a draw. which is not a situation that you want. So as a lesser of two evils, IDs are allowed. And instead what they've done is they've designed a system that incentivizes choosing to play anyway.
Yeah.
They did that initially a couple of years ago by having the play draw rule, so instead of determining who plays first randomly, it's the player who was highest in the standings gets to choose. And then additionally, we've got this new top 8 system for the Pro Tour where being first instead of 8th is a huge advantage because of the extra rounds that you do or don't have to play depending which player you are. Both Pro Tours since that was implemented have been won by players who only play 2 matches instead of having to play 4.
Yeah, Shochi Asuoka and Lucas Escobarto at Perfect Revolt. We see Rob Catton there in the feature match area talking to his teammate Sam Rolph, both on the same blue-white controllers, I believe playing the same 75 today. And we are back in the feature match area. Welcome back. We are coming to you live from IQ Games Huddersfield for the Northern League Invitational. We're in the modern section right now. This is Stuart Jackson and Alex Roebuck. And so we saw there, blue-white control. How do you feel about blue-white control? Answer deck, decks that are purely answers have long been maligned in modern because it's a fast format with loads of different fast decks coming from lots of different angles. How do you feel about its place in the format?
I think it's better than people give it credit for. Certainly since 1 or 2 decks such as Dredge and Infect have been knocked down just a little bit. It's got a really nice selection of answers, especially out the sideboard once you start thinking about Rest in Peace and Stony Silence. But as we saw there, sometimes all it takes is one particular card to sneak through, and you can't ever really recover. You know, in both of those games, I think it's fair to say that resolving Phyrexian Arena was the deciding play. Had it not resolved, Henry would have struggled to generate the necessary advantage to stay in the game. Whereas because it did, Sam is having to, fight through 2 cards a turn where he's only drawing 1. So the only way to win there is to turn all of your cards into 2 for 1s, which you can't really do against things like Lingering Souls and Dark Dwellers and Nahiri. I really like Wall of Omens, I really like Path to Exile. Cryptic Command is a fantastic card. Colonnade is probably the best creature land. Having only 2 colours rather than 3 means that your mana is good enough that you can play Ghost Quarters and Tectonic Edges and not really suffer.
Don't die to Blood Moon.
And you don't die to Blood Moon. Yeah, I mean, that deck it's only playing 2 Hallowed Fountains. So also, the mana base doesn't do a lot of damage to its own life total. You know, a lot of decks like Jund, the way that the mana works means that they're functionally starting the game on 14 life.
Yeah.
Whereas the blue-white deck doesn't have that problem. You get to play, proper sweepers, whereas it's very difficult to generate card advantage in Modern. You know, a lot of the cards are individually powerful.
Even after they're banning of Ancestral Vision. Ancestral Vision.
A lot of the effects in Modern are very powerful. You know, you've got Lightning Bolt rather than Shock, you've got Tarmogoyf rather than Grizzly Bear, and so on. But the card advantage is one of the things that's elusive. So getting to play Supreme Verdict and Sphinx's Revelation is really impressive. It's a shame that Sam didn't manage to draw Sphinx's Revelation in either of those games, because that could have changed the equation quite significantly.
Remember when it was in Standard in the second Revelation or the Revelation for 5? Just put the game away. You just didn't lose after it resolved.
A couple of years ago, when blue-white control in Standard with Sphinx's Revelation was one of the best decks in the format.
The Elixir of Immortality combo deck.
I head judged a WMCQ in Scotland where one of the matches drew game 1, and by that point there were a total of 7 Mutavaults in exile, and the players' combined life total was nearly 200. And neither of them got a way of winning the game, but they were both shuffling these elixirs in. The life gain and the card draw in a draw go style control deck is really, really fantastic. The flip side of it, though, the modern version has some quite challenging threats, which it didn't have in Standard. Kitchen Finks, Vendilion Clique, and Restoration Angel all have 3 power, and I think that the third point is what really pushes a card over the edge in terms of is it just a value guy? Like, say for instance, if a deck wants Trinket Mage, okay, it gets to block and effectively save you a few points of life, but attacking back rarely feels relevant. As soon as you have a third point of power, you go, hang on, that can kill me in 7 hits, 6 if I've cracked fetch lands. And if you're doing a good enough job at keeping the table tidy, a card like Kitchen Finks or a Vendilion Clique really can actually do an awful lot of damage. The removal in Modern, though, tends to be very cheap, so your opponent having bolts and pastas mitigate that to some extent.
Well, obviously, like with Kitchen Finks, the good thing about Kitchen is as it's got Persist is a very sticky threat. so much easier
Yeah.
to keep around on the table. So you have your 3 power, you've got two bites of the cherry, unless your opponent has Path to Exile or something like that, or an exile effect.
People really do misevaluate that card, I think, though, because you look at the life gain and you think, okay, I'm going to gain 2 life twice. So people think of it as a very defensive card. It's for protecting yourself. The fact that it has 3 power makes it a good attacker, and the fact that it has persist means that if they block and trade with it, it's coming straight back to
You've
carry
gained
on
value,
attacking.
Yeah, you've got 2 for your opponent. I mean, the card is a very powerful card in so many strategies. Well, you see it a lot in modern sideboards all over the shop because there's so many decks you can bring it in against. Because it can bring it against the removal decks, against the burn decks, against the aggro decks, all that kind of
See
stuff.
how many Sam's running? Is it
Sam-
some main, some side, or is it just a couple in the main?
Kitchen makes 2 in the main and 0 in the sideboard. So yeah, I mean, we've demonstrated the power there. I mean, he didn't win the game, but Kitchen Finks was a very big role player. Got about 3 removal spells out of his hand in the first game after blinking with a Restoration Angel.
Yeah.
So it did a lot of work.
Persist once, gain more life, trade again, persist, gain more life.
Yeah.
One of the other cards in Sam's deck that we didn't get to see was the recently unbanned Ancestral Vision. Again, that's something that might have made a difference had Sam been able to spend one early.
Very lacking card, like as we said.
That option to just reload and keep fighting once you've run out of cards is really important.
So the Northern League has been going on for about 1.5 years now, 2 years coming up.
Alex has been trying to organise events in and around Yorkshire
Alex Gershel,
for probably around that time, but I think the idea for a series of events started at the beginning of last year, so the first one was in last January, here at IQ in Huddersfield.
This has been the kind of the central area for most of the Northern League events, because it's kind of like the powerhouse, large local game store in the north with 3 floors.
Just trying to push Eternal events and in particular give you an opportunity to play events that are not the format of the current PPTQ season, because it does feel like PPTQs really dominate the organised play calendar.
So it looks like we're going to have someone upstairs who's going to give us a bigger insight on what the Northern League has meant. So we'll go live up to studio now.